Hi, this is Richard at the Oregon Public Library. And if you've been on social media at all in the last 6 months, you've probably been flooded with messaging from all over the political spectrum. But how much of this is true and how much is just, campaign talk? For that, we need to look at fact checkers. Now, fact checking is simply the process of verifying information for accuracy. Many publishers employ fact checkers for nonfiction books before they go to press. And unfortunately, that's not the case with social media. Think of the internet as the world's biggest game of telephone. The message gets tweaked little by little with every post. That's why fact checking is so important right now. But which ones should you read? Well, I thought we'd take a look with a few recommendations. Now, major fact checking organizations are supported by the International Fact Checking Network, which was created by the Poynter Institute for Media Studies. The ICFN commits to a code of principles, including nonpartisanship, fairness, and transparency. Currently, there are 29 signatories on the ICFN, including Snopes, FactCheck.org, as well as fact checkers from the Associated Press, the Washington Post, and the Conversation. Now, we talked a bit about Snopes in our last video, but I think I'm going to use this as a starting point for our current exploration of fact checkers. Like I said before, they originally started out as an urban legend site, and that's made their focus extremely broad and comprehensive. Another good point of Snopes is that they're entirely self-funded, meaning they get their revenue from advertising and direct sales. The only problem is, depending on your browser and your ad blocker or lack thereof, it can show. I mean, it can really, really show. And I just realized that this computer I'm using right now has an ad blocker, so all the ads I was going to show aren't here anymore. But trust me, there can be a lot of ads on Snopes, and it can get really, really exhausting. Like I said, they do offer memberships and direct sale donations, which can unlock ad-free browsing at certain levels, but otherwise it can get kind of clustered and busy looking at some points. Still, I do try to check Snopes at least once a day, if only to see what kind of things have flipped by me on social media. It's among the most popular and comprehensive fact-checking sites. Also, since its focus is a little bit more broad, I can kind of take a break from politics and look at seeing if, say, the Annabelle doll has escaped from the Warren Museum. Spoilers, it hasn't. Or if this 450-pound dog is real. Spoilers, it's not. But still, it's a good break from all the routines of politics. However, if you're tired of hearing about Snopes and looking for an alternative, I'd recommend Truth or Fiction. It was founded in 1999 by the late Rick Buer with a similar focus on myth busting than Snopes. And while Snopes remains hands down my favorite, I look at this one as kind of a second opinion for things Snopes might have missed. Like Snopes, Truth or Fiction is fairly comprehensive. They are self-funded, but their site looks a little cleaner than Snopes, with not quite as much in-your-face advertising. Now, recently I've also taken to looking at lead stories more often. And you've probably seen lead stories a lot, even if you didn't realize it. They just recently started partnering with Facebook to boost the latest fact-checking efforts. Now, what's interesting about lead stories is that they use something called a trendalizer, which is a proprietary software system that researches and identifies trending content. And this allows lead stories and partners like Facebook to identify potential misinformation before it spreads. Lead stories is fairly new to the fact-checking game. It first launched in 2015. Its focus is a lot more topical, thanks in part to the trendalizer. Their funding model is also a bit different than other fact-checking sites. They do get some of their revenue from ads, but they also sell subscriptions for other companies to the trendalizer, as well as partnerships like the one through Facebook, which is really where a lot of their money comes from. Lead stories tend to catch the like trendiest, juiciest stuff first. So if your crazy uncle, say, share something on Facebook and you're wondering, is that even true? You'll probably see it here first. But that said, I don't feel like it's often quite as comprehensive or deep as Snopes or Truth or Fiction. It doesn't quite explore how a certain trend mutates from post to post. Instead, it just focuses more on debunking it. But it is a really good source to look into. Well, now we're getting into exclusively political territory. In case in point, we have FactChat.org. It's one of the oldest sites. It was founded in 2003. It's run out of the Annenberg Public Policy Center at the University of Pennsylvania. FactCheck exclusively focuses on what politicians say and how it stacks up with the truth. Of all the sites, FactCheck seems to focus on quality instead of quantity. Their day-to-day content can be a bit sparse, but their coverage is actually really impeccable. I really like the coverage they did of all the conventions. They really did a really good job focusing on what was said and how, and adding nuance to some of the comments coming out of all of the national conventions. As I said, they run out of the Annenberg Public Policy Center in the University of Pennsylvania. Like Lead Stories, they do partner with Facebook as well as Google, which brings most of the funding, but unlike other sites, they're also backed by the Annenberg Foundation as well as grants from the Stanton Foundation. And they do accept private donations, but that doesn't make up very much of their funding. Now, last but not least, I recommend looking at Politifact. Politifact was founded in 2007. It was originally owned by the Tampa Bay Times before it was acquired directly by the Poynter Institute. Like FactCheck.org, Politifact focuses exclusively on politics, but Politifact is much more wide-ranging. They fact-check everything from tweets and posts to ads and interviews. You've probably seen Politifact's fact-check rating, which ranges from false to infamously pants on fire status. I also like that each claim starts with a, if your time is short, before they go into the much deeper analysis. I really like FactCheck. It's a very wide-ranging analysis. It's usually the last stop of all my FactCheck sites, though, just because there's only so much politics I can take. Their site's very clean and accessible, and the topics are very well researched. So it's a good one to check, especially in these crazy times as we get closer and closer to the election. So I hope you appreciate this overview of the various fact-checking sites out there. I know we've only scratched the surface, but I really do encourage you to read at least one of these fact checkers every so often just to see what's true, what's not, and whose pants are getting lit on fire. I've included links below. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions of topics you'd like to see covered, just let me know in the comment section. Thanks, and I'll see you again. Bye.